The Finnstown Castle Hotel, Gaswise.ie Formula Boss Ireland Championship 2022 roared into life at Mondello Park on Sunday the 10th of April. If there was any thought that the intensity of the final rounds of last season would have dissipated over the winter, you'd have been mistaken. Even with the points table reset to 0 and 6 months break, it seems most drivers were scrambling to make good of winter developments and keen to get scores on the board. Unfortunately, this is all we'd see of Tom Cochrane's World Series car, resplendent in retro JPS colours, retiring from the qualifying session with ECU problems. Speaking of retirement, Peter Dwyer just couldn't stay away and was tempted back with his 3000cc Lola, but unfortunately went off after 5 laps, of which the 4th was good enough to have earned 12th on the grid. Reigning champion Syllvie Mullins was back for more, but his Gould seemed to have some pre-season nerves, causing his dedicated crew more sleep loss.
Lads are working atrociously on it, as you can see, as usual. Nothing changes. So.
And you came back for more.
And we came back for more. Well, we up to 12 o'clock last night. We didn't think we were coming back. We had a crankshaft sensor issue, so we found that at 11:30 last night. We changed that, and yeah, so that cured that problem. So look, we'll see.
The qualifying session had started well, and he'd earned second on the grid with a lap of 49.711 and was going faster than ever despite niggling issues.
We were okay for the first 2 laps. It was running sweet, never ran as good, and then it just went off a little bit on the top end where I needed it, especially on the straights. Coming out of the corners is fine, but when I want to get out to those in revs, it's just missing a little bit, it's not clean, so I'm short shifting, trying to stop the miss basically. So yeah, we up the fuel pressure, just in case we run a little bit lean, and we're going to try in the race. That's all we can do.
He explained how the lap times were falling.
So the track from last year, some of the back end of it has been surfaced, so it's very grippy compared to last year. So if the car is running right, there's loads of time in it, loads of time, you know. So just to get everything together, get the perfect lap.
Two-time Formula Boss champion Cian Carey, who had a professional drive in the Le Mans Cup last year, was heading the record-threatening pace with a 49.633.
I think unofficially that might be the quickest ever lap around here, but obviously we have to do it in the race to make it official, so qualifying session was a bit messy with the 2 red flags, but I think the pace is there. We were quicker on Friday in testing, so just getting back to that pace now. The car had a little bit of understeer in it, so we're just trying to dial that out and get a bit of clear air in the race. Hopefully get a good start, get into the lead and try and get that lap record.
There's quite a pace here, isn't there?
It is, it's amazing. Like, I remember being here with Boss 4 or 5 years ago, and we were delighted if we were doing 55s, 56s. So how the classes come on, and you've got Syllvie there who's pushing me like to the limit in the 49s as well. So like 49s was unheard of a couple of years ago, so to be doing it now, it's unbelievable. But yeah, when you're so low into the 49s, it's kind of like 48s now is what, you know, that's the number I'm looking for. But look, I want to try and get the lap record first, and then we'll go from there. But I'm going to have a lot of competition. Sylvie's going to be really quick out of the box, and Johnny Files out of qualifying was rapid. So yeah, I think I'll be looking at my mirrors at the start, but just settle into the race and see what happens from there.
He was using the Boss weekend as a warm-up to his European season.
Obviously, this is the only round I'm doing. Unfortunately, it's so nice to be 40 minutes away and you have to stay in your own bed. But we're doing the European Championship in the car, which is the first round's in Monza in 2 weeks' time. So we might get back hopefully for the Leinster Trophy because it doesn't clash with a round. So I'd love to get my hands on it for a second time. Should be a third, but yeah, for a second time I want to try and go for that again, be a double winner of it.
It's great to have such a high calibre forum where career-minded drivers can keep match fit on the domestic scene. A last-minute issue with newly fitted parts delayed Jonathan Files to the point that he only barely made it into the paddock ahead of the qualifying session.
6 months to get the car ready, and it still came down to within the last hour of qualifying to get it going. We bought a brand new clutch and flywheel for it, and then it packed up. When we were bleeding clutch yesterday, we had a problem with it, so we had to go back to the old stuff. It just never stops.
His efforts were rewarded with a fine third place on the grid alongside Paul O'Connell, who reverted to his spare car, the Delara F308, which had dusted off well at a Friday test session.
We were testing, we did 2 sessions in the evening and Friday afternoon, testing, and the car was magic. Just something a little bit funny today, was not quite the same amount of grip somehow. So just a few little things to change around a little bit. And I was still very happy with 4th, considering the the grid of cars that's there. Little 08 is she's ahead of a few newer cars, so that's good.
He must be a little sorry not to be in the chase for records, but is keen to secure championship points.
GP2 is at home. It's 99% perfect. We were just worried there might be a little bit of inconsistency in it. We had a little bit of throttle issue in testing, so it's completely fixed. But there's just that little nagging doubt in the back of the head. There was too much going on for the first weekend. It's so important to get a couple of finishes the first weekend to make sure that you get over the line in any position, just to get points on the board. I learned that from last year, but we won 3 or 4 races last year, and I think we finished 10th in the championship, just from mechanical issues and bits and pieces with the new car.
Tony Greenan is starting into his second season in the single-seater, and despite the lack of seat time, was pleased with his qualifying position.
Yeah, looking forward to it there. I've just got a lack of seat time really, so although I was out on Friday there doing a bit of testing. Qualifying got on well there. I got 51.9 on the start in 5th place, I think it is, yeah. So I'm very happy with that, considering the seat time I've had. Haven't driven the car since last year.
Perhaps not developing the car over the winter is an advantage.
I was actually hoping to get a few things done then. This car's still running a restrictor. I was hoping to get that out of it, but it never materialised.
He's ready to carry on last year's rivalry with Michael Roach.
Hope to get off to a good start, and hopefully Mick Roach stays away from me.
Aaron Gaughran was back in an F3 again, sporting the joint title sponsor's livery.
It's the 312/17, but yeah, we bought it at the end of last year. It's Fergus Fardy's ex F3 from last year, so we got it, just basically did the livery on it, but it's running the exact same as it was when Fergus had it, so it's going well. It seems to be going well. A few issues with the dash we've had and electronics in it through winter, but we seem to be, touch wood, we seem to be got through most of the issues we've had with it.
His ambitions for the year appear to be quite modest.
No, look, it'll be interesting. To be fair, Cian, Syllvie are absolutely flying. 2 boys are steaming up the road. So, to be fair, they're going to be interesting. If we can try hang on in any way to any of them in front of us, we'll be happy. So, that's the aim.
Michael Connolly, the sole sports car representative this weekend, also had last-minute gremlins.
To have a loan of an ECU testing the previous week, the car was faultless, as my own had gone to be checked. We felt there was a fuel pressure issue with it, but it was returned as should be fine, but unfortunately the same issue persists. So anyway, Brendan Stone kindly found a fix at the last minute and got us out running. Without him we wouldn't be running today, so that's fantastic.
Was that just before the qualifying session?
Yeah, literally. The car was started yesterday, everything seemed in order, but lo and behold, when it was race day, it wasn't to be. But thankfully we got out, and it's tricky because of the air temperature. It's hard to get even tyres, but I got one decent lap at the end, so happy enough.
Roland Doherty was another to have traded up for this year.
I sold the last one. The last car went off to Finland there at the end of last year, so we found this car there in the middle of the country, so purchased it and gave it a bit of a spray paint, and which is looking not too bad, so let's hope it goes as well as it looks.
Was it very different to the other one?
Yeah, well, it has the paddle gear change on the steering wheel, so I suppose that's a big difference. Power wise wouldn't be much in a difference, but handle wise is a bit better alright as well, nicer to drive.
He reflected on the stop-start nature of the qualifying session.
Yeah, it's a bit messy there with a couple of red flags. It's hard to get a rhythm there, get a couple of laps together, but we got some few together anyway, we're happy enough.
Gary Graham had also found it hard to get in some clean laps and is still working to set up the car himself.
Absolutely hectic selling, yeah. There was a very cold day here today, so trying to get heat into the cars and then trying to get clear lap was virtually impossible. And then the session was actually red flag then, so I didn't get a clear one at all, unfortunately. But we'll have a go during the race and we'll see how it goes.
Is the car going well for you?
The car's going fine, yeah. There's no problems with the car. Like, it's still having a few handling issues and a few bits and pieces, but in general it's going well. I'm happy enough with it.
Anthony Files is a Formula Boss, indeed single-seater rookie.
Yeah, first race weekend in a single-seater, first race weekend in Formula Boss, so I'm definitely in the deep end, but loving every minute of it. Really, really fast-paced sport, and it takes a lot of getting used to, but I love it.
With some experience of striker sports cars, he finds himself right in the thick of things.
I mean, there's a lot of incredibly quick cars this weekend. Syllvie Mullins, the closing speeds from his car are just immense. He could be 15-20 metres behind you at turn 1, but coming up to turn 3 he'll be right underneath you, so you really do have to be careful with the cars coming up behind you. But it definitely has evolved. I mean, I began watching this about 10 years ago, and there was a fleet of Formula Renaults here doing similar times to what I'm able to get out of this today. But the game has moved on so much, and the level has definitely been increased.
Jonathan Files must have thought his luck was never going to change, with a spin on the warm-up lap. But the Orange Army came to his rescue after he beached trying to regain the track. Then resolved to take up the start from the pit lane. He got a reprieve after the first start was yellow flagged, and he was able to take up his third on the grid for the actual race start. After 4 warm-up laps and a false start, he and the others were fully fired up for action. This was the grid for race 1. Unfortunately, Anthony Files and Peter Dwyer wouldn't make the start.
So this time the 5-second board is up. Let's hope we can get away cleanly this time. Syllvie Mullins on the outside, the hill climber.
And so the 2022 season is go. Syllvie Mullins making a great start there against Cian Carey as expected. Michael Connolly and Michael Roach going past Tony Greenan. Mullins needs to make that advantage in the Gould, because once he gets into the corners, Cian will have some advantage. Jonathan Files has a little look past Cian Carey on the outside, but surrenders the line to the F3 car. Michael Connolly has consolidated 6th place, and Anthony Files there on the inside line of Michael Roach. Eamon Matheson's new single-seater doesn't quite seem to have the same drag racing capabilities as his sports car yet. The reigning champion leads them in from the country. Carey, Files, O'Connell, Gaughran, Connolly, Roach, Greenan, Files, Doherty, Rabbit, Fergus Faherty, Daniel Faherty, Eamon Matheson and Gary Graham. Syllvie Mullins leads the high-speed convoy across the line. He's earned himself a little bit of comfort already. Carey has to watch his mirrors from Jonathan Files. Paul O'Connell in the F3 Delara looks secure in 4th place ahead of Aaron Gaughran, but he'd love to be challenging those leaders with the GP2 car. Michael Connolly has secured 6th, and sure enough, Tony Greenan is right in there behind Michael Roach. We're not used to seeing Fergus Faherty this far down the field, but he's had very limited time in his new acquisition. Brother Daniel follows. With lap 2 completed, Cian Carey has made a little bit of a margin over Jonathan Files. With clear track ahead and not currently defending, Mullins has just recorded a 49.878 second lap. But this could be a quick one from Carey, chasing him, having broken free from Files. Michael Roach and Tony Greenan seem to be the main 2 battlers at this point in the race. The Gould is twitchy, entering the S's. And again as Mullins puts the power down. This is where Tony seems to have the edge over Michael. Licks of flame as the F317 car closes on the F306. That's a 49.819 from Cian Carey, a new Mondello national track record. In the distance we see Greenan right in on Roach. Unfortunately, that's Shane Rabbit heading into the pits. That's a big car to get stopped at the end of the straight. With these times we should slowly start to see Carey reeling in Mullins. What a treat it is to see these cars going at full chat. And great to see Files in 3rd place after the morning he's had. Paul O'Connell in 4th place, with Aaron Gaughran keeping in touch. Michael Connolly looks comfortable in the SR8 while Roach is kept busy with Greenan. This is the section of the track where Cian can really make up ground on Syllvie. There's still a bump on the way out of the S's. A little bit of smoke there from the Lola. Hope all is well there. Aaron seems to have made a little bit of ground on Paul. Completing lap 4. The lads have dropped back just into the 50s. Perhaps they're beginning to influence each other. That's the straight line advantage of the Judd F1 in the Gould. Mullins taking a little bite at the curbs. Carey staying on the clean tarmac. Another little wisp of smoke from the Lola. O'Connell keeping off the curbs. Cochran taking a little bite. Mullins takes a broad wide line into the S's, while Carey seems to be able to straight line the entry and yet hold inside off that middle apex. It looks like Aaron Cochran is starting to mount a bit of a challenge on Paul O'Connell with that splendid new Gaswise livery on Fergus Faherty's old car. Mullins and Carey come up to lap Gary Graham at the end of lap 5. The Formula Renault getting a bumpy ride on the outside line, letting the race leaders through. Eamon Matheson is the next to be passed. A little fishtail from Fildes as Graham slows to let him past. These tribute liveries really add to the spectacle of Formula Boss Ireland. After working their way through that bit of traffic, Carey is starting to put a bit of pressure on Mullins now. That bump really loosens the back end of the Lola. Sparks from O'Connell in front of Cochran, and Aaron looks ignited. Coming onto the straight, Files has cleared Matheson, who snakes wildly at the end of the curbs there and catches a bit of grass. Cochran makes a big swing for the inside of Paul O'Connell, and that's a big spark from the front end of his car. I think Tony Greenan has a go at Michael Roach at the end of every single lap there, and sadly that's Gary Graham retiring to the pit lane. Roland Doherty is untroubled in 9th place, ahead of Fergus Faherty in 10th, also getting used to new wheels. Keane has managed to stay relatively with Syllvie on the main straight this time and closes a bit under braking. Look at the speed of both cars as they head out into the country to turn all the way around 180 degrees and come back in towards the paddock. Keane is putting Syllvie under pressure. The Gould goes a little bit wider than normal there. Jonathan Files still in touch with them. If either of the leaders make a mistake, he could really pick up the pieces. Aaron Cochran is still really working the lines behind Paul O'Connell here. Carey is even closer to Mullins as they cross the line at the end of lap 7, and Files just keeping them in his sights on the straight. Carey is really giving chase now. They come over the crest in towards the paddock and Carey is drawing up alongside. Can he go round the outside here on the beginning of the S's? He does. They keep their wheels apart. Oh, it's a clean manoeuvre and he's ahead. Onto the main straight, Carey leads, but the Judd has the power to get Syllvie out of trouble in the Gould. Keane would have to get past and make more ground if he's to make the position stick. This looks like a good opportunity. But this is another section of the track where the Gould can lay down its 650 brake horsepower. Mullins actually holds the position a bit longer, but Keane tries to go around the outside again even faster this time, but it's just a tiny bit too much and he runs on a bit. Mullins retains the lead. I think the pair have actually lost a bit of ground to Jonathan Files with all their dicing. With 9 laps down, could the Lola come into play? The leaders are coming up to lap the Faherty brothers. Could the traffic cause disruption to the race? They're bunched up after passing Daniel. Onto the start-finish straight. They've safely passed Fergus and they're going past Eamon Matheson. Daniel's actually having a go at following through past Fergus. The traffic could present opportunities for Jonathan Fildes. It's easier to get one car through than two. Michael Connolly still blasting around in 6th place. And look, Tony Greenan is ahead of Michael Roach. He'll be delighted with that. Roland Doherty must be well pleased with his new steed, maintaining 9th position, well ahead of the Faherty brothers. Syllvie Mullins taking a defensive line here, holding Cian Carey behind, which gives the F3 driver a little bit of an opportunity to have a look on the inside, but not this time. As the leaders pass the pit exit at the start of lap 12, Shane Rabbit rejoins the track. The rear tyres look like they're letting go a bit on the Gould. The F3s won't have been working so hard. There's a set of tyres being worked too. Daniel wasn't able to slip ahead of Fergus after all. Tony Greenan is doing a good impression of Michael Roach, and vice versa. Syllvie Mullins has his elbows out, coming into the S's. Carey is ready to pounce at the slightest opportunity. As they cross the line at the end of lap 12, we see the yellows wave for the safety car, and indeed that's the green BMW coming out. They've missed the leaders, so it looks like they'll pick up the middle of the field. O'Connell is slowed and Cochran better abort that manoeuvre. The lead 3 have slowed to an appropriate pace, even without the safety car directly in front of them. That may have been a bit of a reprieve for Mullins. If this restarts, Fildes is in a strong position again. So Paul O'Connell is back into his 4th position, that's Aaron Cochran 5th. The Fahertys are actually a lap down in 10th and 11th. Michael Connolly in 6th place and Tony Green in 7th. Michael Roach in 8th and Roland Doherty is in 9th. Lap 13 passes under yellows, so the positions remain the same. Roland Doherty has caught up with the pack. It's not clear exactly what's happened. The leaders have started another lap, and that's Eamon Matheson's car being pushed to safety at the beginning of the straight. That's the checkered flag coming out for the midfield. Paul O'Connell 4th, Aaron Cochran 5th, Fergus Faherty 10th, Daniel Faherty 11th, Michael Connolly 6th, Tony Green in 7th, Michael Roach 8th and Roland Doherty 9th. Finally, Syllvie Mullins takes the first win of the year from Cian Carey and Jonathan Fildes. That's Shane Rabbit finishing in 12th. Second place for Carey will be a little bit disappointing, but he has that new lap record.
So, Syllvie Mullins takes the win, but the new outright lap record is Cian Carey 49.819. Cian Carey 49.819.
So Syllvie Mullins has started the defence of his title with a win, but I think he was a little disappointed not to get a record, despite a 49.878 second lap.
A tough enough race. It was easier at the start. We might run a softer compound tyre, so after probably 4 or 5 laps they go off. So there for my, we were trying to go for obviously a lap record, but we're still having a little bit of an issue high up in the rev. A little bit of a miss still there on it, so it's not as sweet as it should be when you're trying to get the top end off the gears, we'll say, the higher revs. So look at Cian closed the gap then on me. My tyres were going off, and I kept him behind me anyway. That was shutting the door in place on him, and we held him off anyway.
Have they any lead on solving the running problem?
Yeah, there are a few things there. Look at we put in a second hand an old crank sensor last night that we had in the box. It's possibly that because the one that we changed was missing at 6,000 revs. Now it's shoved the the problem up to about 8,000 to 9,000 revs, so we think it could be that. So,
maybe we can show it further up.
Yeah, hopefully. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have a go, and that's all we can do.
Cian was delighted to have nailed it with a 49.819, but was in the hunt for more.
Yeah, that was an exciting race. It took forever to get going. I didn't think we were ever going to get started, but I knew I was going to struggle off the line. Syllvie's just so quick with the grip he has, with massive tyres and stuff on the rear, so I knew that was going to be a struggle. I thought he'd fall off a little bit more. His tyres did start to fall off, and I passed him twice at the outside of the S's, but by the time I got to quarter of the way down the straight, he was just, there's so much power, he passed me again, which is a little bit frustrating when I'm sitting in it, but yeah, to get the lap record's brilliant. There's so much more time in it if I have a bit of clear air, and I can focus on just lap time instead of battling with someone out there. So I'm hoping to get a bit of clear air and it stays dry in the second one, and push on, because I think there's easily 6-7 tenths left in from what that time is.
Cutting edge modern cars mixing with big grunt older technology really is the great appeal of Formula Boss.
It's just a crazy mix of cars. Like, I was so much quicker through all the corners and at the back, but every time I get to here, I need to try and pass him into turn 1 or 2, because I can get enough of a gap then to have that distance down the straight, but passing him through the S is not enough, because he's 8-9 car lengths ahead of me by the time we got to turn 1 again with the straight line speed. So yeah, it was good fun though. It's good to get into a race battle again and get the brain tuned in. So hopefully it stays dry now for the next one, have another go.
It had been a crazy first half of the day for Jonathan Files, but the result looked good.
I spun in the first lap of the race, and I thought, here we go, starting from the pit lane again. I don't believe it. It was all right. Qualifying was kind of hit and miss. I did what I could do, but there was more to come. The race I went softer because I thought it was going to rain in the middle of the race, and it didn't, obviously.
He's quite the meteorologist.
It's too warm to rain, I think. We might get the odd spit, but it'll miss us. I think we're getting the edge of a spring shower rather than anything.
And is the car okay now? Or?
The car is always fine. It's just like when it goes, it goes. Like, it's unbelievable. To the point now where I'm actually sore after the first race. My neck muscles and everything are sore. I don't know if it's old age or the car's getting quicker.
Well, I'm sure it's the car getting quicker.
Hope so.
Tony Greenan had predicted he'd be right there with Michael Roach, who was enjoying the race.
Tony passed me, yeah. But I know, just good to have a battle there for a while there, but I was only kind of holding him up there. He was a bit quicker than me, so he eventually got me. I was hoping I'd have another cut there under the safety car, but then unfortunately the race finished. But I have another race to go, let's see how it goes.
He was looking forward to the afternoon race.
Yeah, looking forward to another race, we'll see if he can improve. He's a bit disappointed there, the car don't seem to be handling, but look, we'll work on it, we'll try to improve and see. Keep trying.
It's hard to get it all going for everybody, I think, isn't it?
It is, yeah, strange. We were here last week, like doing 51s and didn't change the car, and now I'm struggling to get into 52s. It's strange, I don't know. And I have new tyres, I had old tyres last week. I think it's the same for everybody. We'll keep trying.
Another driver who couldn't stay away was the winner of the Boss 2 category in 2021, Fergus Faherty.
A few teething problems here and there, you know. Yeah, we sold the other car to Aaron Gochran, so I had the bug gone, and then we ended up buying this 0811 Mercedes. So the car, it's a good car, just trying to get set up to suit myself, you know, so it'll take a bit of time.
With a few drops of rain in the air, could there be a change of fortunes in the early evening race?
I won the last race last year in the rain, so I wouldn't mind the rain at all, it'd be fine, you know. So it did even up the pitch for me, you know. But the guys at the front are flying, absolutely flying.
It's a serious pace, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and I missed all the practice days. I missed 2 practice days. I was doing the Ideal Home show, couldn't escape from that, so you need the time in the car. And that was a big ask to come down on Friday and jump into a new car and see what you can do, you know. But we'll get there, get to it, you know.
Shane Rabbit thought he could stay away too.
We decided on Tuesday to go racing, so the car hadn't been touched since the last round in September. So we had a bit of work to do, and then Rapco decided we'll make the car look a little fresher. So 2:30 last night we finished up, and then up at 6:30 this morning to load up the van and down here. We made it.
So will he tackle the season?
I'm going to try. I don't know where I'm at the minute. The car's just not quick enough really to be out with them guys, but we'll give it a go. Every time I say I'm not racing, I end up racing, so I'm sure I'll be back again for another couple of rounds.
It's addictive, and in some field of cars, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great to see. Like, well, there's 16 cars in today, so we got a good view of them. I was right down the back. I had a clutch failure in the qualifying this morning, so a nice view of the 16 cars lined up in front of me. Try and get as many behind me though, that's the main thing.
He's looking forward to the next pair of rounds up north.
I'd say I'll do Bishop's Court, yeah. Bishop's Court's the one race I probably will do if I'm doing any of them. But yeah, Bishop's Court's a great track, especially in a car like these. You really perform up there, high speed corners, and proper racetrack.
Out on this racetrack, this was the grid for round 2 of the series. And again, unfortunately, Peter Dwyer and Anthony Files would not be taking up their positions. Oh, that's a weak start from Syllvie Mullins. Cian Carey streaks into the lead. Jonathan Files has an opportunity up the inside. Michael Roach getting away very poorly, dropping from 6th to the back of the pack. Shane Rabbit is on the move. There goes Jonathan Files. And yes, he's into 2nd place. Sideways in front of Syllvie there. Aaron Cochrane's in 4th. Michael Connolly 5th. Look at Daniel Fardy there, 7th, up from 13th on the grid. What a great start. Eamon Matheson starting from the pit lane there with a bit of a push start. His new car really seems to be track shy. They're going to pull it back there. Maybe they can get it going down at the garage. Cian Carey leads. And this time it's Jonathan Files really hounding him. And he's gone up the inside. Going into the S's there. He's got Cian Carey behind him. Syllvie Mullins in 3rd. Aaron Cochrane 4th. Michael Connolly 5th. And look, Shane Rabbit has passed Fergus Faherty now. Finally, that's Eamon Matheson getting going, and he will just join the race on the lead lap. But there still seems to be something wrong with that car. Jonathan Files leads in the Lola after lap 1. Cian Carey 2nd, race 1 winner Syllvie Mullins 3rd, Aaron Cochrane 4th, and Tony Greenan up to 5th. Paul O'Connell passing Michael Connolly, and was that Shane Rabbit passing Michael Roach? Files and Carey navigate their way around Eamon Matheson. Syllvie makes it through 2, and they blast their way out the country. Files kicks up some dust in Carey's face. Let battle commence. Mullins has closed on the lead pair, settling into race pace. That's a powerful sandwich that Carey finds himself in. The F3 will have to watch out that it's not picked off by the Gould on the straight. Aaron Cochrane in 4th place, well ahead of Tony Green in 5th. Michael Connolly and Paul O'Connell still doing battle, and then Michael Roach seems to be coming back onto pace. Unfortunately, we seem to be missing Shane Rabbit already. Oh, and look, Eamon Matheson has just had a spin coming onto the straight. He really is having a torrid weekend. Michael Roach seems to have recovered from whatever glitch he was experiencing, and he's really threatening the back of Michael Connolly now. Back with our leaders, and Mullins is closer to Carey than Carey is to Files. Cochrane 4th, Tony Greenan 5th, and Paul O'Connell has recovered back to 6th. Michael Connolly has his mirrors full of Michael Roach. Fortunately, Eamon Matheson's car seems to have come to rest off the racing line. And Mullins blasts past Cian Carey into 2nd place. He has the position secured by the first corner. It's all firepower at the head of the field now. And these less than subtle chassis seem to be gripping well. Aaron Cochrane's new colour scheme sure is photogenic. The Lola and the Gould actually seem to be making a bit of ground ahead of the record-breaking F3. Mullins looks like he fancies another race win. Back at the line, Paul O'Connell seems to be making a bit of ground on Tony Greenan. The Michaels are still battling. And look at that, Daniel Faherty is leading Fergus. Anyone that thinks that Formula Boss is a place to parade your powerful machinery would be greatly mistaken. These guys are racing the socks off their cars. But that's a yellow flag being waved. But I wonder if the two chasing cars have seen that. They pass Fildes before the main straight. Fildes gets Carey back, but Mullins is out in the lead. That may not have been a legitimate pass with the flags out. For now though, Syllvie leads again. And Cian is really threatening Jonathan. Aaron still has plenty of space to operate in 4th place. But Paul O'Connell is right up with Tony Greenan. Connolly still leads Roach. And Fergus Faherty has now re-established himself ahead of Daniel. Mullins in clean air is probably chasing the record himself. I wonder, is Carey thinking of doing the same? He's hanging back, or maybe it's just the yellow. Syllvie Mullins still appears to be at full tilt. Down to the line. That's a 49.518. That's a new lap record. The Gould is starting to move around a bit at the rear. Was that the window of opportunity? The Lola looks pretty lively too. Whereas the F3 is perfectly composed. Down the main straight, and O'Connell is fully in Tony Greenan's slipstream there. And Michael Roach has freed himself from the rear wing of Michael Connolly's SR8 sports car. This looks like another flyer from Mullins. You can actually see how scrubbed those tyres are on the rear. That yellow is still out, warning of Matheson's car ahead. Yeah, we see your Hugo Boss sticker, Aaron. That's another 49-second lap for Syllvie Mullins, but about 2 tenths slower than the last lap. And that's the first 49-second lap from Cian in this race. Where's Mullins? Oh, he's spun. He appears backwards into our shot. Well, I guess that confirms the tyres have finally had it. But he actually gets back out in front of Jonathan Fildes and Cian Carey. What a recovery. Back at the line we see that Paul O'Connell must have made good of that manoeuvre on the last lap. He's ahead of Tony Greenan now. And at the S's, Jonathan Fildes has gone through the inside of Syllvie Mullins. He likes that manoeuvre there. The Lola does seem to have the legs of the Gould on the straight. This is thrilling action once again from Formula Boss Ireland. Aaron Cochran crosses the line in 4th place. We look for Paul O'Connell, but he's missing. Tony Greenan is next in 5th. That promotes Michael Roach to 6th and Michael Connolly to 7th. Fildes seems to have earned himself a bit of comfort out in front. And Carey is hounding Mullins through this twisty section of the track. 5th in the first race, and now on track for a 4th, is a very solid start to Aaron Cochran's season in the championship, especially in Boss 2, where Cian Carey is unlikely to reappear. Tony Greenan ducks by, and Michael Roach also in contention in that category, fighting back from that poor start in this race. Michael Connolly's rear tyre is getting loose at this stage in the race, but he's holding on to it well. And the Faherty brothers are inseparable today. I think Carey has decided to let the other two off at it and treat this like a qualifying session. Fildes seems to be in control of this now. Mullins doesn't seem to be able to put the power down. Straight lining that. We got our first real taste of what the Lola was capable of at the Leinster Trophy race at Kirkestown last year, where he finished 2nd only to Syllvie Mullins, having started from the pit lane. And that's a new lap record from Cian Carey, 49.326. Can it fall any further? Aaron Cochran already looks very composed in his new car. He proved himself to be very capable of swapping between vehicles last year. You could easily forget that Tony Greenan is relatively new to single-seaters. Michael Roach looks like he's getting the maximum out of his car there too. Carey's probably losing a bit of time behind Mullins there again. That car is definitely on a charge. Jonathan Fildes leads us on to lap 11. Tony Greenan has the afterburners on because Michael Roach is starting to reel him in. Michael Connolly in 7th place. I hope more sports cars join in later in the year. There was something very evocative about seeing them charge down the main straight at Kirkestown last summer. Fergus continues to lead his brother Daniel Faherty as the leaders come up to lap them. And there's been a change. Cian Carey is now up to 2nd. Syllvie looks like he's dropped back a bit in pace. The Fahertys are lapping well because it's taken until now for Fildes to catch them. And Syllvie really has dropped back dramatically. That's Aaron Gaughran in the background. Is he getting hopes? Fildes has passed the Faherty brothers well. And Syllvie is still losing ground to Aaron Gaughran. Jonathan did well through the traffic. And Cian is clear now. And there's a long wait for Mullins. And true enough, Gaughran is right up behind him. Carey closing on Fildes. In the background, Syllvie still seems to have straight line speed. Carey is really putting Fildes under pressure as they head out the country. He emerges in the lead. Now with a lighter fuel load is a real opportunity to start punching in those times. Michael Roach always keeps on pushing no matter where he is in the field. Carey completes lap 14 and begins a flying lap. Fildes can only watch him go. Mullins seems to have been able to dig deep and find a bit of pace to restore a margin from Aaron Gaughran. Tony Greenan in 5th, and Michael Roach still hunting him down. Carey out on his own. He's able to let it run out wide. He doesn't have to defend the line. That's the fastest line through here. Fildes follows. Syllvie Mullins still only catching the Fahertys now. Perhaps an opportunity here for Aaron. Michael Connolly still secure in 7th. Lap 15 complete and Carey's back in the 49s. Jonathan Fildes' best today was a 50.882 on lap 11. The Fahertys are just completing their best laps in the race. 54.982 for Fergus. And actually Daniel's quicker with a 54.945. Aaron is close to Syllvie again. Tony Greenan's on 52s. And Michael Roach has been hitting 51s. Michael Connolly is very consistently in the 53s at this point in the race. .655. Syllvie's record from earlier in the race still stands. But Carey's getting closer to it. Coming onto the straight, Mullins and Gaughran have caught the Fahertys. Syllvie sails past Daniel. Aaron joins in between the two brothers. Fildes in 2nd place, beginning the year with the result to top his best of last year. As Michael Connolly starts lap 17, Cian Carey completes it. And it's a new record, 49.275. Connolly drifting nicely there. There probably isn't enough time or space for Cian to do another flyer. At this late stage in the race, Fildes' driving nearly looks celebratory. Does he know something we don't know? Mullins is still preserving that margin over Gaughran, and Greenan has managed to stay safely ahead of Roach. This must be the last lap. The flag drops for Cian Carey at the end of lap 18, as Michael Connolly claimed 7th, but we discover later in the evening that a penalty has been issued to both Cian Carey and Syllvie Mullins of 2 positions for passing the Lola under yellow flag conditions. So that checkered flag is a win for Jonathan Files. A great start to the year for him, and just reward for a lot of hard work and patience. So Syllvie Mullins is actually placed 5th, Aaron Cochran is 2nd. Cian Carey is 3rd, but his record still stands. Tony Greenan is 4th, Fergus Farty is 8th and Daniel Farty 9th. Michael Roach is 6th. I bet Files didn't think his day would end like this when he was stuck at the track gate just before qualifying this morning. The final results of race 2 had not been confirmed at the time we left the circuit, so we've no post-race interviews, but we'll certainly be catching up with the drivers on May 7th and 8th at Bishopscourt, the next rounds of the Formula Boss Ireland Championship.